Poseidon enters Greek myth with the force of something older than a king and harder to control than a law. He is not simply the god of the sea. He is the power inside the sea when it stops behaving like a road and becomes a will. He is also the god of earthquakes and horses, a strange combination at first glance, until you realize that all three belong to the same ancient imagination: speed, impact, and violent motion. When the earth shakes, when a stallion bolts, when a calm horizon suddenly rises into walls of water, the Greeks could see one god moving through different forms. Like Zeus and Hades, Poseidon is one of the sons of Cronus and Rhea, part of the generation that overthrows the Titans and divides the cosmos. Zeus takes the sky. Hades takes the underworld. Poseidon takes the sea. But takes is almost too neat a word. The sea is never fully possessed. That is the point. Zeus rules through order and kingship. Hades rules through inevitability. Poseidon rules through instability. He is one of the great powers of the Greek world, but he is never the calm center of it. He is the surge, the tremor, the pressure beneath the surface. That helps explain why Poseidon can feel so majestic in one story and so dangerous in the next. Sailors prayed to him because the sea carried trade, war, migration, and survival. But they feared him for exactly the same reason. The Greeks did not imagine the ocean as a peaceful blue backdrop. They knew it as a place of sudden death. A god of the sea, therefore, could never be merely picturesque. He had to be formidable, quick to favor, quick to punish, capable of rescue and wreck in the same breath. His symbols tell the same story. The trident is not just a weapon. It is an instrument of command, something that can stir waves, shatter rock, and mark the god as master of unstable realms. Ancient tradition also links him to the horse, and not only as a patron animal. In some myths, he creates the first horse. In cult, he is Poseidon Hippios, Poseidon of horses. The association feels odd only if we separate land from sea too sharply. For the Greeks, galloping horses and crashing surf could belong to the same energy: pounding, uncontrollable, magnificent. And then there is one of his oldest and most revealing titles: Earth Shaker. That name matters because it reminds us Poseidon is never only maritime. He belongs to deep force itself. He is what moves foundations. He is what reminds mortals that the world under their feet is not as solid as they think. Before he becomes a character in famous episodes of revenge, rivalry, and wrath, Poseidon is already something immense in Greek religion, the god of motion that human beings can use but never master. That is why Poseidon's myths are so often about conflict over space, honor, and control. He does not simply inhabit the world, he contests it. Again and again, he appears as a god whose power must be recognized and whose anger follows insult with terrifying precision. One of the most famous examples is the contest for Athens. Both Poseidon and Athena seek patronage over the city. The rivalry is revealing because it is not just a quarrel between two deities. It is a clash between two kinds of power. Poseidon offers a gift associated in ancient sources either with a salt spring or with the horse, both symbols of force, prestige, and maritime reach. Athena offers the olive tree, nourishment, oil, craftsmanship, continuity. The city chooses Athena, and in that decision, Greek myth does something subtle and brilliant. It does not say Poseidon is weak. It says his power is real, impressive, and not enough. Raw force may dazzle, but civic life is built on something steadier. Poseidon does not forget slights. That pattern appears again at Troy. In one tradition, Poseidon and Apollo serve King Laomedon and help build the walls of the city. When the work is done, Laomedon refuses to pay them. This is not a minor insult. In Greek myth, refusing a just exchange is a form of arrogance that invites destruction. Poseidon answers with exactly the kind of punishment that suits him. He sends a sea monster against Troy. The response is mythically perfect. A king denies order and obligation, and Poseidon turns the boundary between land and sea into a point of terror. What should have protected the city becomes the root of its punishment. These stories show something essential about him. Poseidon is not random chaos. His fury has logic. He punishes broken boundaries, unpaid debts, failed reverence, and denied honor. His revenge may be enormous, but it is usually connected to a prior offense. That makes him more unsettling, not less. A purely irrational god is frightening for a moment. A god whose wrath follows a severe internal code is frightening forever. The same tension appears in his link to horses and wild generation. Poseidon is often associated with creatures and offspring that carry excess with them. Monsters, giants, impossible animals, heroic bloodlines touched by danger. Even Pegasus, the winged horse born from Medusa's blood, belongs partly to Poseidon's mythic world. So does the idea that the sea, like the horse, is beautiful precisely because it cannot be domesticated all the way. This is what makes Poseidon so compelling in Greek myth. He is not evil. He is not merely temperamental. He is a divine image of power that resists human confidence. Cities may flourish, kings may bargain, sailors may boast, but the old truth remains. There are forces beneath civilization that do not care how impressive civilization looks from above. And when those forces answer back, they often answer in Poseidon's voice. And nowhere does Poseidon's revenge become more famous than in the story of Odysseus. After the fall of Troy, Odysseus should be on his way home. Instead, his return stretches into years of shipwreck, loss, detour, and grief. Many forces shape that journey, but Poseidon becomes its great antagonist because of what happens in the cave of Polyphemus. Odysseus blinds the Cyclops to save himself and his men. In one sense, it is a heroic act of intelligence. In another, it becomes the beginning of catastrophe. Why? Because Polyphemus is Poseidon's son, and because Odysseus, unable to leave well enough alone, boasts his true name as he escapes. That boast matters. It turns survival into provocation. Polyphemus then prays to Poseidon, asking that Odysseus never return home, or if fate insists that he return, that he come late, broken, and alone. That curse becomes one of the central engines of the Odyssey. Poseidon does not simply kill Odysseus outright. That would be too easy, and mythically too small. Instead, he makes the sea itself hostile to him. The road home becomes the punishment. Every wave carries memory. Every storm repeats the offense. This is classic Poseidon. His revenge is not only violent, it is thematic. Odysseus is the man of cunning, movement, and passage. So Poseidon attacks passage itself. The sea, which should connect worlds, becomes a zone of divine refusal. And because the Odyssey is such a foundational poem, Poseidon's anger becomes larger than one grudge. It becomes a meditation on the limits of human cleverness. Odysseus can outwit monsters, seduce allies, disguise himself, and endure almost anything. But he cannot negotiate the ego of a god he has offended. Even at the end, Poseidon remains memorable because he represents a truth the Greeks never softened. Intelligence is powerful, but it does not cancel consequence. Skill does not erase reverence, and movement through the world is never entirely in human hands. That is why Poseidon lasts in the imagination. He is more than the bearded ruler with a trident. He is the mythic fact that what carries us can also destroy us. The same sea that makes trade, travel, empire, and return possible can become a grave in an afternoon. The same earth that feels solid can split. The same energy that gives speed and grandeur can become panic and ruin. So when the Greeks looked at Poseidon, they were not only imagining a sea god, they were imagining the world at the point where usefulness ends and submission begins. A god of storms, seas, and revenge, yes, but even more than that, a god of unstable power itself, the force that civilization depends on, fears, and never fully commands. And that may be why Poseidon still feels so alive. He is not just Lord of the Deep. He is the reminder that beneath every human plan, there is something older, stronger, and one storm away from answering back.